This is the weekly roundup presented by the Conversation Project, and I am Jay Cleveland Payne. 12 stories I'll present to you right here. These are stories that caught my attention based on your engagement with our Conversation Project feeds on Facebook and X for the past week. That's Friday, March 14th through Friday, March 21st of 2025. We have Vladimir Putin in the key, also John F. Kennedy and Jackie Robinson, plus 9 other stories, and a lot involve Trump and Musk because these are the times we live in. But I want to first remind you about our sponsor, Ground News. Ground News gives you great perspective on all the news because it gives you basically all the perspectives. Visit our website for our link and a great deal for their service at thisistheconversationproject.com. So that's Ground News. It is an affiliate link, so we get a small commission from that one. And of course, visit our website and our email address to conversate with us as well. The website is thisistheconversationproject.com. Said that one already. And our website, our email address, conversationinbox@gmail.com. As we said, this is the weekly roundup for the week ending March the 22nd, 2025. No particular order as these stories are coming by, but they are 12 stories we already presented to you in our daily show here on this channel, which is called Things You Might Have Heard. So you've probably seen these already. These are ones that picked my attention on how much attention they got and also may need a bit of updating based on how things have gone throughout the week. Story number 1. The first headline reads, Trump invokes Alien Enemies Act to deport migrants despite court order. Trump used the 1798 Alien Enemies Act to fast track some deportations he's been working on. He targeted Venezuelan gang members, especially in the Tren de Agua gang, riled them up, put them in planes, and was sending them to sending them to El Salvador. They are Venezuelan gang members. They are originally from Venezuela, but he sent them to El Salvador, who has actually offered to house some of our folks we're sending away. And they're bad guys, so they'll put them in jail for a year or so and deal with them there. Now, there was nothing really said about this. It just happened. In the meantime, when it was sort of realized it was happening, a judge put out a pause and a 14-day restraining order on this action. It doesn't stop what happened because, one, Trump just kept going. The planes that were in the air landed in El Salvador. Those folks are basically now prisoners there, housed there for our engagement, if you will. Now, using the phrase alleged gang members has been the big legal thing there because we don't have a register of who actually was sent. We don't have a listing of people that were sent. We don't know if they were actually from Venezuela, if they were actually gang members. In fact, many people have said, their families said they're not gang members. And we have one news story of a person who got a Real Madrid tattoo, which is a big kind of fugly looking tattoo. But because it's so detailed, it kind of looks like one of the gang members' tattoos. So they grabbed him and threw him into jail as well. He's not a gang member. He just likes soccer. He's looking for asylum here, and he's there. So how will this thing actually work out in the future? We shall see. The people that are there, and I don't think they're coming back. The people to be used in the next batches, we'll see, as right now the judge is pretty much perturbed with everyone going back and forth because the lawyer who actually was in front of the judge says, I understood this to be exactly what you said to do it. And then Pam Bondi and the Trump outside lawyers are like, well, they just said it out loud. It wasn't on paper, so we went ahead and did it anyway. And the planes were in the air, so we went ahead and did it. It's a bit of a kerfuffle, if you will, like many things that Trump is doing when he is, as he's been saying many times this week, pushing an envelope on what exactly he can do and seeing exactly what will work, what doesn't work, what sticks, what doesn't stick, and what his supporters will actually help him push forward and when they'll actually stop supporting him going forward. Our second story for this weekend, Trump and Putin speak to each other this week as the Ukraine-Russia ceasefire talks continue. I should say Russia-Ukraine because Ukraine's not really involved. It's really the U.S. and Russia and other folks on the sidelines, even though it sort of has something to do with them. Putin and Trump are talking about the war and the peace that may come on the table. A 30-day ceasefire proposal was up in the air. It was accepted by Ukraine, and Moscow's not quite accepted it yet. Trump is framing the conversation as pivotal, something that he can manage and only he can get done because he has the best deals and he can talk to Putin on that level. But it's something that's interesting because Trump is inserting himself in the whole deal. Europe, where Ukraine is not involved. There's just wait and see what happens. Ukraine is not really involved either. They're just agreeing to what we want them to agree to, and then Trump's taken to Putin as the third party. It was before other folks were doing the negotiating, and the real negotiations, real talks being done in Saudi Arabia. But it's basically Trump kind of spitballing things out there, and Putin's sort of basically not saying no to. So the silence is one thing. The speaking may be better, but the problem is what we're getting. Ukraine accepted every single thing that the United States is throwing out there. In fact, they may actually sign on for more mineral rights, and they want to take over more of their government processes, because if the U.S. is operating things in Ukraine, Russia probably won't attack them. That's what's going on. They won't offer Ukraine any sort of military background, saying we won't let them fight you. Trump is saying, well, if we're here and Russia knows we're here, they probably won't shoot at you guys, which is what's going on. So the pressure is being put on Ukraine to accept things, while Russia is not accepting things. They keep adding things to the mix to not have to accept what's going on there. Is it the diplomacy or is it the theater? We're going to see what happens. Interesting take on deportations, on people being held, on people not being citizens and being found that they are here illegally, undocumented, or without valid visas. Germany has actually updated its advisory for U.S. Travel for its citizens after a few of its citizens, German citizens, have been detained for short periods to very long periods in very, let's say, not very nice conditions. So it's the fine print on going back and forth between the U.S. and Germany on how things happen and how to kind of keep yourself safe from things. There's a subtle, serious warning that says you might be detained at the border, so be prepared for whatever may happen. Bring all the documents that you think you need, because you may need them. How many citizens being held and why has not been released, but we've got news reports, various folks that have done various things that have been held up. One particular story that caught my attention was a German man who lives in the States, works in the States, flew back home, then came back and was detained in a facility for quite some time. Another came through, which I don't think is a German citizen, but a person who was backpacking here in the United States for a while. And they actually tried to go to Canada because of the things going on, and she didn't have something valid there. Canada would not allow her to go through. But as she's standing at the gate, the U.S. folks said, well, if Canada doesn't let them go through, why don't we take you in as well? And yes, they actually detained the person who had been there legally for a while. German media wants to put this warning light out there so people can see what's going on. U.S. hasn't responded officially to this particular thing yet, at least not when we pulled the story. But it's in the details. There are many people who are being detained of German origin who aren't trying to, work the system or do things here illegally. They're here for a reason. They live here. They work here. They've been here for a while. It's just the boilerplate on the very bad writing of these policies that makes it up in the air for interpretation. And usually the interpretation goes the wrong way. The number four story for this morning, I should say, is Drake. And it's Drake where his label is trying to dismiss the lawsuit he is put out against Kendrick Lamar because he says the Not Like Us track is just a part of a rap battle that just is not being won by Drake. He lost the battle. Let's make some money and move on from this one. He is pretty much mad about being called a CP on the track and the whole A thing going on there in the A minor back and forth. But the lawyers are basically want to get rid of this whole squash. Universal Music Group, who actually is the group for Drake, says it's not defamation. It's a bad take in a rap beef, and you're losing. They filed a dismissal lawsuit calling it a sore loser move in a culture that thrives on lyrical warfare. Basically, UMG argues that the diss tracks are exaggerated, provocative, and not meant to be dissected by court transcripts. Unlike in the court case in Atlanta where they try to use rap lyrics as, this is the guy talking about his life and this is what's going on, and so we should use this to try somebody. UMG is like, nah, they're just lyrics. They're just being provocative. They're bravado, and they sound cool so that they can actually make more money. And if we can't be provocative, we ain't making any money. So Drake dropped the diss and just let it go. This could actually really do ripples in the rap game because, like I said, if people can't drop rap battles, if they can't go back and forth, can't diss each other, then what are you doing? What's going on? They can't all, the message is great, but it can all be about the message. At some point in time, you got to have some fun, go after each other and do something that's worthy of rap of the past. We're going to see if they actually can pull this out of court and be done with it. And what if Drake does a diss track on UMG, they not like us, whatevers. They not like our music companies. We'll see what happens going forward on this one as well. For story number 5, congratulations, Sonny and Butch. The NASA astronauts have returned to Earth after 9 months and stranded in space. Now, they were supposed to be up there for about 9 days. It turned into 9 months, living on a space station for all that time. Because they were stuck up there, they not only were just tourists, they became part of the crew. And this is why it took them so long to stay up there. We'll go into that in a second. But as they returned and splashed down into the ocean, welcome back, astronauts. Join the rotation. Essentially, backwards. So I've messed that up. So when the Boeing Starliner went up in space and they realized that the engine troubles and what might not be safe for them to come back, they said to the guys, Butch and Sonny, well, you're astronauts, join rotation. Apologies, our new script thing is not quite working the way I thought it was going, so we're going to update that going forward. So the test flight, the 9-day test flight was one test, but since they were there and they didn't know when they're coming back, they joined the crew. They went back into rotation. They stayed there as long as they needed to work on the things. And in the meantime, SpaceX was working on a way to go up there and bring them down. This was said 9 months ago. So Elon Musk did save the astronauts, but not because Trump said so, because once they put them to work, they had to put them to work. So as they splashed down back in the ocean this past week, they returned back with the 2 other crew members that were there, that were in the space station. One person from America, one person a cosmonaut. So they still don't know what the capsule problems are. So Boeing is going to lose out in space travel and being in rotation for sending folks up and down, because if they can't put a safe flight up there, they're going to not send it up there. Now, Boeing is a big loss because this actual cruiser they use to go up there is about 5-10 years delayed and twice the budget. So those things going on. So Boeing, missing on this one, did get a bit of love. And we'll talk about that probably this weekend, as they did get a contract for a new fighter jet, even though the new old fighter jet is still pretty terrible going forward. So the crew had extra crew, and it was a little tight for a while. And yes, there were jokes about missing holidays and the fact they only packed one set of underwear, which is probably pretty raw by now. But all are back safely. They have a great story to tell. They'll start telling that story in a few days once they're acclimated, and we can learn a lot more about what happens up there and safety in general. At number 6 today, the government has released thousands of declassified pages on the JFK assassination. A large dump of government files dropped on JFK, on which make those people who are in conspiracy theorists go even deeper in what's going on. And add to the fact, there's MLK and RFK details in the stacks too. Lots of documents, dozens of them are now online, courtesy of the National Archives. Some have been redacted, of course, but there's a lot there. But you have to go looking for yourself. But let's not get ready to pull out smoking guns at all, because there's pretty much extra stuff out there. Most of it is not going to give you anything that's going to be totally new. It's timelines that may add to stretch on things, and witness blurred out for some things going on there. So you'll get a chance to do well in your digging, but probably not so well in what you're getting. And part of the problem that is now a problem they can't fix is many folks didn't want some of this stuff out there because they wanted it vetted by family members or other folks first. The King family did not actually want their stuff released in this batch, but they released it, and it's there now as well. So anyone looking for deeper historical archives on Robert F. Kennedy, John F. Kennedy, Martin Luther King can get more from the archives, because it's there for all to see. But will it find a way to actually answer questions? Probably not. Quick pause in the action, quick pause in the news. We have 6 stories down and 6 more to go. But we want to remind you that our conversation project, everything we do here and our daily shows and this one here, are powered by you and powered by your vision, your voice, and just you being a part of it. So we need your help in growing what's going on. Right now, I am literally getting a bit more afraid about how speech works. And I'm just a small creator, so not that anybody's looking at me in particular. But I want to be a larger creator, I want to say more, I want to do more, and I need more to do that. So the biggest thing I need is more people involved in the action. If we have more people in the News Nerd Nation, we can talk more and do more things. So if you like the video you're watching right now, click like. If you like it, I know that I'm doing the right mix of stories, right mix of news, right mix of commentary. Today, we're doing some experimental things for this today and this week, so it may be a little different. So we'll see how that works out. We'll do our best in that one. But like what you're seeing, and I know what we're doing is good, and I also will know that the cool stuff about the algorithm, they'll share more stuff with you as well. So we'll have more people coming in there. If you think it's good enough for people that you know, share it with those folks automatically. Hopefully they will like and share it as well. And if you're not getting this program and other programs from us in your feeds naturally on Facebook, X, and on YouTube, and in some other places to find us as well, subscribe to see us there. Also go to our website. We have links to our email newsletter, links to our audio podcasts, and of course, small links, short links on TikTok as well. Find all the places we are and subscribe to the place that works best for you there. Back into the news at story number 7, the very sad news from the parents of the missing Pittsburgh student who are urging the Dominican police to declare her dead so they can actually move on. Sukuska Konaki, I'm always butchering that one because I have that, have vanished during the spring break in Punta Cana a few weeks back, and her parents have stopped hoping for a miracle. They're asking for the Dominican police to actually declare her officially dead because they want to go on the process of closure. They want to move forward. They don't believe there's anything they're going to find at this point. They don't suspect foul play. They don't think there's any sort of conspiracy. The family just wants to move on. She was 20 years old, a University of Pittsburgh student, and at this point in time, they want to remember her for how she was and not keep this open loop in the world in their minds going forward. They don't want this to turn into a true crime drama, any sort of mystery for conspiracy theorists. They want to find some peace and closure for their daughter. The searches have turned up nothing. They are assuming that she did drown and her body will probably not be recovered. And there's very little control or hope on what they can do on this one going forward. But all they have is legal process to go forward. Once they declare her dead, they can work forward in whatever legal process they want to, and they can actually have some sort of actual ending, some sort of closure, some sort of way to wrap this up for the family to deal with and treat it as the tragedy it is instead of the open loop with hope that something's going to happen that probably will not. This story took a while to catch on, but it caught on big, and the comments are coming fast and furious on the Furies. Now, it's a smaller story. It was kind of a throwaway story. It was one of those things that was kind of like, Greg Abbott, he's doing those things. But the headline for story number 8, Texas bill targets Furies, banning non-human behavior in schools. Texas is filing a bill to basically keep Furies from being in school, as I said, and it's called the Furies Act. It's an acronym that spells out the Furies, and it bans non-human behavior on campus. It bans basically wearing ears, wearing tails, asking for accessories like litter boxes, all those things, meowing at people, things that aren't human are being banned in schools in Texas. Now, State Representative Stan Gerdes has actually reduced it, and Governor Abbott is like, I'm down with this one 300 times. The language is vague, so it covers anything that's just kind of weird. So weird dress, weird talk, just being a little odd. And that's where the problem is. So while the comments we are getting is, Furies are an actual thing in some places, which based on comments, we hear they are. And it's a distraction. And it's actually coming from people who are Furies who say it's kind of a distraction. Go to a convention, go hang out, but don't do it in school. Because kids should be focused on class stuff, not disrupting class, just being focused on school. But kids dressed as animals is a disruption. It could be. So it's a culture war policy. It's a classroom policy. It's a lot going on. And as I said, the comments are going fast and furious between we're really focusing on this stuff. This is really what we're focusing on versus, you don't think it's a problem, but it's a problem. And people really need to be focusing on schoolwork and doing those things there. The whole Department of Education being torn apart, things like that. We will continue to keep up with this one and see how it goes and see if the bill passes. Chances are, because it's Texas, it will. But like we said earlier, in months before, the overarching just expansion of kids are using litter boxes in bathrooms, maybe it came up 1-2 places, but it's not the big rash of things that people can overtake in social media. It may have happened. It may be a thing, but it's not a nationwide thing. At least not as far as I know. My kid doesn't use a litter box. They don't have Furies at her school. So at least we've got it locked down in Arkansas, I guess. Here's a public safety announcement for story number 9. Don't do bad things. It's that simple. Just because you think you have a thought, a right, a means to express your opinion, doesn't mean that means makes any sense if it's criminal. The headline for number 9: Tesla set on fire and shot at with guns at Las Vegas police. In Las Vegas, police report. So the rash number of Teslas being vandalized, either being spray painted on or tried, you can't really bust them open, set a fire with Molotov cocktails, is a real concern. This one in particular caught the attention of Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and Pam Bondi, as a Tesla collision center in Las Vegas was firebombed. Many Teslas were set on fire with Molotov cocktails. The dealership itself had the words "resist" painted on the doors. Left a big old mess. And you can see pictures of a person in hooded sweatsuits, black sweatsuits, going in and doing the damage. So they're working that angle. As Donald Trump has says, this is all domestic terrorism. Pam Bondi is agreeing with this one specifically, treating this as a domestic terrorist attack and trying to get to the bottom of this one going forward. 2 cars officially were torched. Others were hit with rounds of guns because they were shooting at them. They're cyberish, and you can't really bust them open, but there's that. And, resist on the door on the actual details. No arrest on this one yet, but we're going to see what's going on. Now, people being mad at Elon Musk is a God-given right in American institution, if you will. People saying mean things to him on Twitter, on X, there's wiggle room on that one. People shooting up other people's property because the company he owns makes those properties, not a good thing. Not a good look, not good action. It is bad. Vandalism is bad. Shooting up things that aren't yours are bad. Shooting up things that are yours that aren't meant to be shot up, i.e. targets, are bad. Targeting with angriness and just bitterness for what's going on. And you know what? Maybe it's just some hooligan who's using this as an excuse to just be a hooligan. It may not have anything political with it. It just might be an excuse. It's still extremely critical, whatever your actual reasoning is. Oh, yeah, I talked about education earlier. Donald Trump did something about it. He's getting rid of the Department of it. He signed an executive order to dismantle the Department of Education. Now, he already said he was going to do that. He already did some stuff worked up. He told Linda McMahon when he hired her and she was confirmed, and she actually said so in her confirmation, her job is to do the will of the president. The president wants to have extreme changes to the Department of Education and basically to overtake it. Get rid of it completely. So schools should be run by the states and local communities, not by DC bureaucrats. Spoiler alert, they actually are run by the local states and communities. If you've been in any board meetings and talked about, this book banning stuff, they actually are run by the local pieces. The government actually handles a lot of the, let's say, diversity issues that make sure things are fair and equitable. Those words that get kind of squashed in our current understanding of the Constitution. So what's happening? Donald Trump signed this order in front of a nice display of other kids who also had orders to sign as well, as they held theirs orders up while he signed his, to show what's happening. What's going to actually happen, and what's actually already happened, or is basically pledged, is the college stuff, all the stuff for loans and Pell Grants, is going to be handled by the Small Business Association, and the stuff working for the justice things going to another agency. Everything else, all the testing, all the processes, all stuff like that, essentially will go away. They've already fired a bunch of people going forward. There are the systems in place that are supposed to fund things like school lunch and training for people who have disabilities, things like that, are already confused and in chaos. So things are happening on all levels. I work in higher education for my day job, and trust me, we are panicking because we don't know what's happening. We know last year there were a lot of issues with the FAFSA issue, and now we're not sure who's going to manage that when there's an issue this year because they're still cleaning that up. It's going to be a mess. Just saying this department doesn't do anything, let's get rid of it, always has ripple effects, as we're seeing with other departments that have had people fired and rehired, and now many being paid to not work still, and coming back to offices that have been trashed, things like that going forward. Department of Education, only about 50 years old, 45 years old, and Trump has been do something that even Reagan couldn't do, get rid of it. So there's pluses on that one. The problem is the minuses on how we did it and what the ripple effects are. We won't know for a while. So fentanyl across the borders are down. But guess what's up? Because your contraband based on what's actually worth something changes, it's eggs. Border agents are seizing more egg products than fentanyl right now. And no, 60,000 egg-related busts have been happening so far this year as opposed to 400 fentanyl seizures. Yes, 6,000 to 400. The egg surge is tied to smuggling from Mexico, where the prices are lower, and people are sneaking in them raw, powdered, boiled, whatever they can. They're getting eggs into this nation to sell on the black market, use themselves. What is going on? So the problem isn't this guy's walking eggs across the border, which is a problem because that's trade. The problem is it carrying disease? Are they actually good eggs or bad eggs, literally? And Uncle Sam's not getting that tax money coming across the border because Aunt Susie went down to a visit down to Tijuana and then grabbed some eggs on the way back. The drop in fentanyl seizures actually shows that smugglers are getting smarter in either smuggling in their fentanyl or they're working more to send more eggs in, which may be a bit of a distraction. Border priorities are being reshuffled to make sure that the right contraband is being kept out. Yes, fentanyl is bad and will always be on the target, but right now the new contraband issue is coming with a side of cholesterol. It is kind of what it is right now. And our final story for this weekend, unintended consequences have been something I've been saying a lot since the inauguration of Donald Trump. I guess I've been saying it back and forth while we were rolling into what was happening, what he was going to talk about doing. But since he started enacting things, the first executive orders he signed on day one, and that happened in his first administration, he intended for something to happen. It happened, and in the process, chaos ensues, or something just odd ensues, or the wrong thing gets pulled. More issues for DEI removal in the military, coming with Jackie Robinson's article on his life in the Army being removed from the Department of Defense websites. Jackie Robinson, the man who broke the color barrier and still has many records out there in Major League Baseball, was pulled from websites from the military, from the Pentagon. They pulled his information out of there as if he didn't exist. So it was really about specifically his thought process, which you can actually get if you go and read his autobiography. His time in the Army before he actually played baseball, which was a pretty glorious time and pretty good example of how DEI issues may be necessary and rolling them back is causing the issues we're having right now. Stories about how when he was in the military, he was a lieutenant in the military prepping for war, and he asked for more facilities, more greater things for his black soldiers because he was in charge of them. The person he wrote to, Lieutenant Robinson, didn't realize it was a black person and dropped a lot of N-bombs in the note saying that you're not getting this stuff because whatever. Also, Jackie Robinson was riding a bus near the front of the bus and was talking to a white woman. This wasn't just riding a bus. He was on a bus that was carrying military members and their spouses to some function, and the white woman was the wife of the lieutenant, one of his fellow lieutenants, sitting next to her. He was near the front. He was having a conversation. The bus driver said, "Go sit in the back." Robinson, the lieutenant, said, "I'm not doing this." He was court-martialed. That's what they could do back then, court-martial for that. And because he was dealing with the court-martial, which was eventually acquitted from that, he didn't travel with his unit to Germany for World War II. So Jackie Robinson served in the Army, but could have been a war hero, could not have coming back. History was changed, maybe because Jackie Robinson did not go to fight in the war. But he did go on to do other great things and live a life that was of extraordinary living. But we don't know that backstory that's in there, the big pivotal part of his story, part of what animated him. No apology, no explanation. It eventually came back, but it's just one of those things. There was a statement put out by the DOD that says, everyone loves Jackie Robinson. We also love Navajo code talkers. We love the airmen. We love all these people. I'm paraphrasing because I'm paraphrasing as well, but these are all people that they erased from the websites. And if you don't back them up well, they erase them from history. Essentially, anything that they didn't get enough actual guidance to figure out what was diversity, equity, and inclusion, not just, this guy got this job because he's black. These guys got these jobs because they're gay. We're allowing all these people all these illusions or whatever. It's just if something's labeled black because it's Black history, it gets labeled. Something labeled gay, the Enola Gay, the airplane that dropped a bomb on Tokyo or on Japan, got pulled off because the plane's name was gay. Literally. Unintended consequences, and me speaking extremely out loud, people who don't know what they're doing. Qualifications are one thing, but doing things that actually make sense prove that the qualifications aren't the basic. I have, I can walk, I can talk, I have the ability to touch my nose and finger together. Can I actually think properly? Can I give a command that makes sense? And when people have to follow my commands, my orders that don't make sense, and it turns out into the gibberish that it's turned into, can I actually apologize? Can I actually take ownership? Can I fix it? No, we can't. Those were 12 stories from the past week. I'm going to do math right now, not quite in my head. I'm going to use the calculator on my app since we've already done so many things that are so out of fashion. We have 5 shows throughout the week called Things You Might Not Have Heard. And those 5 shows have 8 stories on Tuesday through Friday. So it's 8 times 4, which equals, the calculator doesn't work either. Okay. We're having all sorts of issues today. It just is a day to day. So, yeah. This is going to be an oddity. If you're watching the video, none of this makes sense. 8 times 4, 32, plus 10 is 42. So we do 42 different stories throughout the week, and these are 12 of those stories that caught my attention, and we're glad to have you here. Now, if you want to see more stories catching your attention and that you don't quite understand where they're coming from, we're asking you to check out our sponsor for today, and it's Ground News. Ground News offers up the best way to get real perspective on any news story because they'll give you all the perspectives out there. What they do at Ground News is they are an aggregator of news stories. They take a headline from out there from anywhere, whether it's local, whether it's national, whether it's something international, and they give you all the perspectives you can handle and maybe some more than you can't. You can see through the full story because you can see what other people are doing to cover those stories. You can look at stories that are getting a lot of coverage from stories that are from sources that are owned by Republican conservative type ownership or Democratic liberal type ownership and see how they're covering things. Obviously, those sound very different. And the blind spots feature will show you things that are covered exclusively by one side or the other. So you can see what you're being held away from on purpose or what other people are just hyping up because it seems like it's that dagger to put into your back, but it really is something that's not all that great. Not a lot of people are covering this story on the Furies, but there was a good bit of political coverage on the conservative side. So once we found it, we went through Ground News and saw that many conservatives were covering it. Many liberals were not. It seems like a non-story, but as you can tell from the comments we got, you guys engaged in it. You guys turned it into something. And this will help you as a news nerd figure out what stories are worthy of your contention and what stories are just being pushed on the side because the right blogger got it that day. Go to our website, use our link to get us a small commission. This is a small commission for us, and you get 40% off their Vantage plan to get the best news coverage out there available. It's theconversationproject.com/ground news. This is theconversationproject.com/ground news. Get in on the great This is just great app, this great website, this great tool to make sure you know what's going on. For people who are willing to not be siloed, it is great. For people who want to be siloed, it may not be so great, but it also can help you grow your silo, if you will. You can see what stories are being out there that you don't want to see, so you know how to push more other way. So it's a tool that can be used for good or evil. Your choice, your thoughts. Ground News. Check it out today. Go beyond the news. Go beyond the headlines. Check it out at this. It's conversationproject.com/ground news. The Conversation Project lives online at this. It's conversationproject.com. It is a website where our intention is to get your input because it's not meant to be a monologue. The Conversation Project is a dialogue. Now, as we're working to get more people involved, more people in the share, and subscribe, more people in the News Nerd Nation, we're trying to do more things that are more live, more active, more back and forth. We tried to do some of these recordings here for these or the morning show and the roundup. We're still having some issues with some setups, tech stuff that we're having issues, bandwidth issues for. So we were glitching a lot for a while with our internet. So that's why we're doing the live to tape things here. So we're glad you're here. You can respond as you need to. We'll respond back to you as best we can. But we need your help. Not only do we need you to like, share, and subscribe, we need help actually funding things going forward. So if you are willing to check out more of our sponsors, we have sponsors at our website. This is Conversation Project. But we also have a list of people here who are listed as partners. These are people who are giving us a monthly financial contribution. The spare change level is Joy Winters. The cup of coffee level is Harold Braxton, Kobe Green, and Eldon Kidd. And we also have a pot of coffee level that's there as well. These are people who offer up financial contributions to us so we can help get things done. Also, people buy things for sponsorships there as well. And if you can go to our website and click on partnerships, you can do one-time donations via things like Cash App and Venmo that are really quick to do. Or you can go to the link or visit buymeacoffee.com/jclevelandpayne and join in the tier that you like to there to help us get things going for the Conversation Project. We need your help. We need your assistance. These people who are partners are also members of the impromptu board of directors. So when things get a little crazy, I send a message out to them and they get extra videos to see how things are going, and they put input in directly. Now, we'll talk about how everyone's input is just as equal in a moment. But if you want to help us out, continue to do more things here. And this is an anomaly week. This is a testing week. We are seeing some things happen. We know what to do to adjust. We'll work on that. Be a partner. Help us grow. We are almost at 2,000 subscribers on YouTube, our main metric. There's other metrics or in other places, but that's our big metric is on YouTube. And so we're also at a number that's a milestone there. We could use your help there. Oh, also go to YouTube and you can click the membership thing there. The tiers are actually a little lesser there on those tiers there as well. There, you can see them, but that counts just as well direct into the YouTube funding as well. We're happy to be monetized in some ways, happy to get other funding going back and forward, and happy to find ways to actually eliminate and lessen some costs to make work stuff here. But it is a cost. It does take time and money. I do get some help, but only when I have extra funds, because I don't want people slave labor working for free if they don't have the time to do it. And that's how we do things here. So if you want to help us grow this thing specifically, consider being a partner. Now, for those of you who have not quite got to that level yet and just want to get the actual fun of the new stuff, we need your help. We got work for you to do as well. Our website, we already said, this is the Conversation Project. This is the conversationproject.com. This is the conversationproject.com. Our email address, it's conversationinbox@gmail.com. You can email us anytime you feel with your thoughts, your questions, prayers, prayer requests. We take them all. Conversations. If you're not feeling well, we often talk about the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline when people are not doing this. You can send me an email there and we can chit chat on other levels as well. Now, to get these stories, these 42 stories, 42 stories that we had a chance to choose from to give you the 12 here throughout the week, you do the work all day, all night, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We post news articles, news links on Facebook and X. Facebook.com/This is the Conversation Project and X.com/TH_conversation. And as you check your Facebook and check your X feeds for other things, we should pop up every so often. Or just go see what we're doing because you want to know what stories you can actually engage in and push forward. And when you see some stories out there, engage in them. Like them, love them, hate them, reply to them, share them. Do what you can to be touching that story and whatever you can do. Whatever emoji face you want to do in Facebook that corresponds, it's great. In Twitter, X, it's only a heart, so that's all we got. You can do it for the love of the article, the hate of the article, or the want to see if more people want to talk about it. And what happens daily, Monday through Friday, we take top stories based off your engagement and choose a handful to talk to you on there. On Monday, we'll give you 10 stories from top 30 of the weekend. On Tuesday through Friday, we'll give you 8 stories from top 15 of the day. It's that simple. And from those stories, we come check on Friday afternoon, go through the 5 days worth of stuff. And I look for stories that really had the biggest impact, that really caught my attention, or things that were just sort of like, I almost didn't remember that happened. That's interesting. I put that out there. That's why we have the stories here picked out there. If you want more input on that one, just send me some notes about, hey, this is a good one. Try to see if this is going to make it into the weekend, and it can be influenced. There's no actual ranking on this one. This is literally going through each and every list of story, pulling them out to see which ones sort of go there. I guess it is kind of ranking, and then whittling them down to the best ones there. But once they've been vetted by you to be in the conversation for the first day, the second day, this day is a little bit easier. So with that, we are done. We've wrapped up the recording for today for the weekly roundup for the week ending March 22nd, 2025. Make sure you're doing all you can to stay hydrated, staying limber, and staying on task, because this life is meant to be a marathon, and we humans tend to try to turn into a sprint. Let's not do that. Love you guys. Mean it so much. 12 stories for this week done. We'll see what 12 stories will happen for you next week based on the stories you cover all week long, and we need your help to do that. As I said, follow us on our feeds on Facebook and X. Email me at the conversation inbox, gmail.com. Consider being a partner and going to our website to check that out. And most importantly, like, share, subscribe. And be here for our daily show, whether you watch it live or watch it on a replay later today. Same for this one here. Whether you're watching me live as this goes down the feed, or if it's a replay later in the weekend or down the week, let me know what you're doing with it, how it's affecting your life, if I can do better or worse. And we'll see you next week to tell you what stories wrapped up the week for the week ending March 29th, 2025.